And we are live with Chris Prefontaine. How's it going?
I'm doing awesome. How are you, buddy?
Amazing. I had the privilege of being on your podcast, and I'll share a little bit about your story and your accomplishments today. Before we dig into this topic, I want to let people stream into here. InvestorFuse page. That's confusing. Let's see. We have Carlos. We got Maximo Sosa. Daniel DiGiacomo is on here. We have folks joining us live. If you can hear us through this streaming channel here, leave a comment. Let's try to keep this as engaging as possible because we're live with Chris Prefontaine, who is being very generous with his time. He's got over 26 years of real estate investing experience to share with us. And you all have, for the next hour or 45 minutes, direct access to him. So feel free as we dig through this interview to ask him questions because he's being very generous with his time. Awesome. So cool. People can hear us loud and clear.
Good
Excellent.
Deal.
So you are coming from us from where?
Newport, Rhode Island, actually. New office.
Nice. I like it. So they are based out of Newport, Rhode Island. It's a family business that he runs. And he is the founder and mentor of Smart Real Estate Coach, which has been growing a lot over the years. He's been in business for over 26 years with his family in the trenches, doing deals, been through the ups and downs of the real estate market, which is sort of where I want to guide this interview. He's an expert at all things creative deal acquisitions, from lease options to buying and selling on terms, you name it. These are tools that you should have on your tool belt if you're actively doing deals. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. He's a podcast host, Smart Real Estate Coach podcast, and he's a best-selling author of, previously the book was Real Estate on Your Terms, Creative Continuous Cash Flow Now, Without Using Your Cash or Credit. And his new book, which I have the privilege of being featured in, is The New Rules of Real Estate Investing. Anyone who's tuned in right now can get a copy of this book. Chris, you want to show them how?
Yeah, just go. And when you say copy, Dan, I shared with you before this. This doesn't mean put a credit card in and we're going to charge you shipping. I can't stand that. So we're going to ship you the hard copy. You don't have to go to Amazon. Go to New Rules for Free, FOR, newrulesforfree.com. Just let us know you saw it on Dan's show and we'll get that out to you. We mail them every Friday.
Awesome.
Enjoy.
Yeah, it's really a powerful book. There's 24 experts in here that all kind of reveal, each of them have their own individual spin on what it takes to be successful in this business in 2019. And I think it's super relevant for what people need to learn about. So 26 years ago, Chris, what were you doing at that point?
Well, it's actually, I'm going to date myself, but it's actually 28 now. I started what we call infill building. So this is going to sound crazy, but I heard a tape. You don't probably remember Earl Nightingale. He's long gone now, but he talked about a gentleman in the Depression that you couldn't sell anything then. So he went around and plopped a sign on people's land and said, let me try to sell it. And he wouldn't prepay it, but he would then make a deal and sell it for a premium. So I said, that's pretty cool. So I started putting a sign on people's lots rather, and pre-selling a new construction home with a builder. I never built a home in my life. And then nobody would get paid until the home was built, including subcontractors. And at the very end, everybody gets paid, including the lot owner and us. So that's why I started in 91. Then in like 95-ish, I bought a Realty Executives franchise, put a realtor hat on, had never done that. And then sold it to Coldwell Banker in 2000. And then started doing my own investments in coaching. And that led to the lovely 2008 debacle, which is where we changed everything we do now and how we operate. So it was a blessing, but you couldn't have convinced me of that in 08 because I got my head beat in.
We'll talk a little bit about the lessons learned during that period too, and how people can apply it to, setting up the right foundations for what could happen in the future. But let's rewind back a little bit. What happened in your life that made you want to get into real estate as a vehicle for a career in wealth building?
Yeah, I grew up in a family company. It was not real estate, but my father, it was a welding supply and industrial gas business. And we were in New England, and he would build his own buildings, my father, then have them leased back to him, his company lease it back from him. So I just kind of witnessed that. And I'd always ask him questions around that. And then he had a couple of partners where they would do some land flips, just light real estate while he was operating his main business. So that's what my exposure was. And I just loved it. I went to college, but I knew I wanted to do real estate. I just went to college to get through it.
What was your degree in college?
Business management.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But I worked through it. I mean, I went to college, literally, I went through the motions, and I got fine grades. It was not that I wasn't tuned in, but I worked every day and night for my father's company when I wasn't at school,
Mm-hmm. And you purchased the Realty Executives. Was it a franchise?
Yeah. And in 95, they give you the model, looks great. And so I called it adult daycare, and nothing against realtors that are listening, but I had 15 adults that it was like daycare. And we made some strict criteria. If you didn't sell at least 12 homes a year, which I thought, if you can't do that, you shouldn't be in business. We asked people to leave if they couldn't do that. So we were pretty strict, built it up to a good volume, and then sold it to Co-op Banker in 2000. To sell it, though, I had to pay the franchise off and then sell my business, because you had to wind out of the franchise.
Interesting. Curious to know, of all of the tactics that you used back in the 90s to acquire houses and communicate with sellers and get listings, and then I'm sure at that time you're also doing some buy and sell investing as well. What are the strategies that have been the same throughout? Like, what's the same for how you operated in the 90s and how it is now?
I don't do anything deal structure wise similar, just for a lot of reasons, which we can talk about. But the only thing I think that kept the common thread, and we don't do a lot of it, but to know how to do it, is the land piece. If you had a piece of vacant land, I flew to Ohio last month for one of our students. There was a vacant piece of land, and he didn't know how to bring it from that to engineer to spinning it off. And so that hasn't really changed. It really hasn't, other than I can look up online now, right? And opposed to going through papers. But the strategies that I'm doing now, I wish I knew back then. They existed. So it's not like times changed. People were buying on terms. I picked up a book on vacation recently, and I wish I remembered it. It was not Dale Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie and some other wealthy people were in that from the late 1800s. And they were doing lease options. They were buying on terms. And I'm like, man, I wish I knew that. So all those years, I didn't know how to do that. I really didn't, not fully until way after the crash.
So what forced you to adapt your acquisition strategy then?
Well, the 08 crash. Yeah. I mean, I call it the debacle in my book, and I openly talk about it, but I was personally on 22 or 23 buildings or properties, and they got cut down from a third to 2/3 down in price. So where does the bank come knocking? Your door, if you're on personally. So that changed the whole scene. And so by 2012, full bore, 2013, we do not go on bank loans. We do not use our own cash. We control, 50, 60 properties at any one time, plus another probably 50 with students. So say 100 properties at any one time. And we are not on one single loan. I can sleep much better at night with that thought pattern versus being on a loan personally. My only exception would be if you got to do it for your own house. But other than that, man, just don't do it. It's not worth it.
So use leverage more intelligently.
Yeah, we do. We only do lease purchase, so the loan stays in their name if there's debt on it, or subject to existing financing stays in their name, or owner financing where it's debt free and we're just paying the owner principal only. By the way, when we do that, so none of those scenarios have me signing personally. We won't do it.
Are you seeing that investors, your average investor these days, are disregarding these other strategies? And why is that?
Meaning the ones I just talked about, the terms? Well, when times get a little bit easier, time's a little bit easier right now, in my opinion. People tend to be okay, is the best way of saying it, by using their own credit to get loans, and as loan programs loosening up to take out loans. And so, some people are consciously abandoning them, and other people don't know about them, Dan. I mean, I was amazed when I started digging in deeper in 2012 to say, how can I re-engineer this business? Because I can't do that again. I was shocked at how much I wasn't doing, even though it's been out there for years and years. All we did is wrap a really cool system around it and a family support, right? But it's been around. So I think a lot of people, look, I went to you know, some people in this room, Eddie Speed had a private thing where if you were doing like 100 units and more as a wholesaler or a rehab, you could go. There's only 20 of us in the room. We were the only terms people in the room, and they're all looking to do terms because the wholesale and the rehabbing for a myriad of reasons is getting tougher and thinner and more competitive. And some of them were like, and again, smart business people, $30 million businesses in that room, but they would look at some of these terms deals and go, what? Like, how do you do that? Like that's what we're doing on a daily basis. And it's really cool.
And that's the foundation of what you teach at Smart Real Estate Coach, correct?
That's all we teach. Now, if a student comes to me like with that weird land deal or a multi-family, great. I know how to pivot with them. I know how to construct things, but our main crux is single families buying the way I said earlier, those 3 ways.
So before we talk a little bit more about becoming a recession-proof investor, let's just quickly mention, I'm sure there's some folks that are watching right now and will watch the replay that just want to learn more about these creative strategies and buying on terms and some of the benefits and ways that they can use that in their market. You have a course called the Quantum Leap System.
Yep. I think you're going to throw it in your notes there.
Yep. So if you guys go to InvestorFuse.com/Chris, it'll take you to more information about, he has a home study training all about how to buy on terms, you know, the tried and true methods that Chris and his team have been using for over a quarter century.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what we did, Dan. I was just telling someone, they said, you should tell more people that that's what you do. So we could cut that course up into seriously like 4 or 5 courses if I just cared about selling stuff. Yeah. We're on, I hope, a major mission to kind of close that gap of the time when someone takes a course or sees something and then does a deal. Like there's just so much a big gap now because a lot of crap out there, unfortunately. So this is ridiculously robust. It's like 60 plus videos in it. And it comes with strategy calls with us. We want to be talking to you and supporting you. And we go through every single month as a team and we update one module. So if there's something that we go, that should be tweaked, or that paperwork changed, every month, one of the 10 modules is getting updated and we cycle every year. That thing is living, breathing. You own it for life and it's always going to be updated. It's pretty cool.
Love that. Yeah. You guys do great work with all your content. So I'm sure the course is world-class in and of itself. You mentioned earlier that you feel like it's easy right now for folks. How do you feel about that in general, about how easy things are right now?
I just mean relative to the crash, right? So, because I've seen both and I've seen 2 crashes, but I think it's just a caution flag is what comes to mind. I think that you should be speaking with someone, and I'm not so naive to think it's only my niche. There's a ton of great people in our space, right? Real estate in general. So find someone that's been through it and talk to them like we're having this conversation, because it's going to slow down again. I'm not saying it's going to be a crash. I don't think it's going to be as drastic, me personally, but I think you should be talking to someone that's been through it. And if you have a mentor that says, I've never had any bumps or I've never been through anything, then run and find someone else. Because to be successful, they had to hit some bumps, and might not have been a crash, but just bumps, challenges in their business. I think it's necessary to be teamed up with someone like that or a group like that can help you.
So most of the folks that will listen to this show will be wholesalers.
Yep. What
can you expect to the wholesale market if any sort of correction happens?
I just know now pre-correction, right? I can talk confidently with this. And again, a lot of friends are wholesalers, so I'm not stepping on toes. I'm just clear that the wholesaling is, you do a deal and you get paid to do a deal. When we do a deal, we get 3 different paydays. We create some cool wealth and we have some long-term strategies. So that's A. B, there's some really cool checks in that room. There were high producers there. Some of them are getting checks upwards of 30, 40 grand. That's extremely high. I think most will agree for a wholesale. That's really good. Our average deals run 50 to 120, and sometimes we can kill that, but our average person as a family is 75. So size of deal, type of income in that deal, and it's very competitive right now. So as the market tightens, is it going to be even more competitive? I think so. But right now it's super competitive, and that's why there's 20 of them with huge businesses in the room looking to diversify and get into terms. I think it's super smart to add that, not stop what you're doing, add that to what you're doing, and then scale it. It's like anything else.
Yep. So we have a few dozen folks tuned in right now. If you guys have any questions at all, I know some folks are all in they have different portfolios. Some might not own properties. Some might be really leveraged. Some might be strictly wholesalers. Depending on your situation, I'm sure you have some questions. Make sure to ask them in the Facebook comment thread. I will be reading all of those, and you have direct access to Chris. So make sure to take advantage of that. This is why I wanted to go live. So what should people do right now to become a recession-proof strategy? I know we talked a little recession-proof investor. You talked about just having the tool set and knowledge of how to buy on terms. What else should an investor, really be working to build right now that will make them, will fortify the castle in the event of any sort of correction? And in general, just that, regardless of a correction, they should be working on.
I was just going to say that's a good wrap up point. So a couple of things, no priority. Just as you're saying that, I'm thinking things, I should write them down. One is I love, and we're teaching our associates around the country, just the whole profits first thing with Mike McAllowitz. I think it's super smart, or some concoction of that, so that every single deal, we have a spreadsheet and it's just automatic now, but every single deal you have percentages of your money going into reserve, going into this, going into that. There's a system he has. I like that. I also like setting up for all, I don't care what niche you're in, and you listen to this, setting up lines of credit that's not your personal social security number. So that's going to take you a little bit of time, 1 to 3 years, and then onward, where you're establishing your business's credit and identity, so that during a crash, A, you have a line, and B, it's not attached to you in any shape, form, or fashion. It's not on your personal credit report, and they're not coming knocking on your door if anything ever happened. And third, back to the bias in the terms business, create these deals that are 10 years out for cash outs or longer. And then if you can handle any correction with 10 years, guys, for the most part, think about it. And then the other piece is make sure, I mentioned mentors earlier, make sure whatever paperwork you're using and whatever niche you're in, that you have the wiggle room. If you do have, you're at the end of a 10-year term and you have something happen to the market, there's got to be some language, very carefully crafted language in your forms, so that you have wiggle room and you're not up against the wall. All our agreements have that now, only because I got banged in the head too many times. Mm-hmm. So these are all things that if you go in your niche, whatever it might be, if it's not terms, if you're in your niche, just talk to someone that's been through that, and they'll help protect you. Ask the question that Dan asked me: how can I best protect myself? And you'll get the right answer. And if you decide to do something with us, we'll walk you through it. We have a great community.
Do you have any good resources or contacts for folks that want to start establishing business credit?
I use, there's a bunch. I've used Fund and Grow. Right now we're using Credit Suite, and they're sponsoring our event coming up because they've made a major move, in my opinion. I used to send people in one place if they wanted personal credit lines and things like that they get quick. I'd send them another place for like business credit. And now Credit Suite handles all that, and they help build it over time. I'm in it. Dan, it's interesting. We only bring people to our events and expose our community to people that we do business with and have vetted out. We've even canceled people we canceled one speaker last week to go to next month's event because we didn't think it was a fit. We're very protective of it. So when I say something, I'm not winging it. It's like what we do,
Yeah. How do you spell Credit Suite? It's
credit, one word, and then suite is I think it's just SUITE. I'll even give you the guy's name. It's Steve Weibel. He'll probably kill me if he gets a million calls, but Steve Weibel, just tell him you heard on your show with me and you chatting.
Awesome. I probably butchered his last name, but I just typed that in for those folks who want to establish.
Find him if they find Credit Suite. Yeah, they can find him. They'll take good care of you. And he'll be at our event, and the CEO will be actually in September. One
thing I learned about credit is that it's much easier to get when you don't need it.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's so much easier to get. So make sure to check that out so you have that in your back pocket.
And by the way, if you listen, you don't have good credit, then fix that first. I had to do it. After 2008, my credit went from 7 to, I think it got as low as 5. I got killed. So you can fix your credit, and you should, whether you need it today or not, because the way we buy, you don't need it, but you will need it to set up your lines of credit, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So get it fixed. That's all. There's credit repair people out there. We use one for all our tenant buyers.
Mm. So let's talk a little bit about that. I like to get a little tactical. And you mentioned that one of the smartest things to do is just to set you up with deals that last for the next 10 years.
Yeah. Or at least 3 or 4, right? I mean,
Yeah, at least 3 or 4, short term, medium term, long term. And this is sort of the cornerstone of what you teach. I know this strategy. Could you talk us through a deal that makes you money now, some in the middle, and then over time, and sort of help folks wrap their head around how they can start thinking of their opportunities through that lens?
sure. So one of our, I'll think of just recently, we had a mastermind this morning with one of our groups, and we just finished the deal yesterday. He structured there was underlying debt on a house. I'm going to give you round numbers. I think the house was somewhere around 400 grand, give or take. There was debt on it of say 300. He tied the house up contingent upon, with the lease purchase, contingent upon finding his tenant buyer. So he wasn't coming out of pocket yet. That's a later advanced strategy. And he found his tenant buyer, and the 3 paydays work like this. The tenant buyer, keep in mind, we do not deal with tenants, and I do not take the philosophy, Dan. This is a strong comment, because mentors are online today saying, hey, do the rent to own and just throw a buyer in there. And if they don't make it, throw another one in there. Morally and ethically, it's bogus, and you're going to get yourself in trouble. So we put them through a whole screening process to make sure they're truly buyers. And unless they have a life event, they're getting cashed out. So then they're going to come in with a non-refundable down payment. This guy did 64 grand. Now, not up front. He did 20 up front with the signing, and then he has a payment plan for his deposit. This is why it works so well. So now you have this payday 1 coming in 64 grand over 2 years. Then payday 2 is the difference between the mortgage payment he's going to make directly to his seller's bank and what he's collecting from his buyer. And I think it was a small one. I think he's going to collect like almost $300 a month spread per month, every month. And then on the back end, what does he get? He gets the markup in price that he did from what he secured the house with the seller, and he marked it up. I think it was like another 30 or 40 grand. But he also gets, with our lease purchases, we get all of the principal pay down for that underlying loan throughout the course of the term. So payday 1, 2, 3. That's why I said they average around 75 grand. Now he crushed that. He went higher in this one deal, but the norm for us is like 75 grand. That's pretty cool. So someone that's brand new, and we have brand new people. Most of our people are not in the business yet. And they create this 20 grand check all of a sudden out of thin air. And then they have 300 a month, and then they have 35, 40, 50 grand in the back. That's pretty cool.
What are the ideal seller situations that should trigger people off to start thinking of a deal like that?
Yeah, good question. Mostly it's motivation always. So for example, if someone says I'm upsizing, downsizing, I'm just testing the market, that's usually not a great fit. If they're free and clear, I love that pond sort of to fish in, because they're financially usually more stable. They would have taken money out of their house, and they are usually open to longer term owner financing. And we do principal only payments on most of our owner financing. Think about that and how recession proof that is to your topic. Every month pounding down principal. But anything that screams that they can't get their way on the open market, i.e. they're debt free, but they just want all the money and they can wait, and they want to wait for tax planning reasons. We just signed up a house last week. It was a divorce situation. That happens a lot. They just want nothing to do with the house. They left it. And we bought it subject to the existing financing staying in their name. Over leveraged. We did some properties in 13 that were over leveraged, or just about to the point where the seller would say, I can't pay a commission. I got to come out of pocket. I'm kind of stuck. I have good credit. I don't want to do a short sale. So we tied those up on a 9-year lease purchases. Those houses got 100 grand in them already right now. So you can do almost any deal as long as you have the right term. So don't be afraid of homes that have no equity in them. So wholesalers and rehabbers will refer to us because what are they going to do with that? Well, we tied up on a long-term deal, and it's a great deal. So I could keep going, but the point is, to your question, look at the motivation. If the motivation's there, you can find a solution. That's all you're trying to do. You're not trying to convince anyone of anything. You're trying to find a solution to what they're trying to accomplish.
These could be for any property types. They could be fixer-uppers or nicer houses, or primarily nicer houses.
Some people think you can't do rent-to-own with fixer-uppers. One of our students just tied up a 189 house and resold it for like $229.9, and it's a bit of a fixer-upper. It's livable, it's habitable, but it needs work. So the understanding was, hey, I discounted it below after repair value. You can get in there and do some sweat equity, and he's got a great little deal there. He's getting like 18 or 20 grand up front.
Do you have students that are locking these deals up and then wholesaling the contract to someone else, like wholesaling lease option, Joe McCall style?
Yeah, I know Joe. Yeah, I was going to say Joe because he's been on my show and vice versa. I don't. Our students aren't doing it unless I've had a few outlier examples, like put a purchase and sales agreement together, start to market as a rent own. Buyer comes in, hey, I got 50 grand, and I'm a true good buyer. I just need some time here. I don't want to pay the inflated thing you got. Like I want to take your contract over. We've done a few 30, 40, 50 grand. It's not our norm though, because there's so much money you're leaving on the table by doing that.
All right. Interesting. I'm curious how you present this to the seller. So are they getting a whole series of different offers? Or I know a lot of folks use a 3-option letter of intent where you're giving them the cash and then 2 different terms. Or do
Yeah,
you just come to the table with like, this is what I think would be the best?
a little bit of both. So we don't offer cash, but sometimes we'll say, if I can't figure you out, your situation out, I'm not really getting a clear read. I might give you in your debt free, let's say, I might show you an owner financing option with an inflated price because I can do principal pay downs and make that up really quickly, or a sandwich lease, a lease purchase. So I might give you a couple. I like the options where you throw a couple options at people because they tend to pick one.
Mm.
If they're upside down or there's no spread in it, or there's a reason that I can't stay in the middle, we call it an AO, but it just means that we assign out. We tie the home up, we get the buyer, get everything wrapped up in a nice bow, collect the payday one, and assign it back to the seller to deal directly with the buyer. We'll do that sometimes. All different scenarios.
Super interesting. So if you want to learn more in detail about all these strategies about buying on terms, Chris and his team are a wealth of knowledge, and he has a whole course all about this. Just go to the link I typed in the comments, investorfuse.com/Chris. So another way to look at the recession or any sort of correction is opportunistically. What
Sure
can
is.
we expect to be some benefits of a potential correction in the market?
I don't want to say I can't wait till it slows a little bit, but this is a good opportunity to your point because there'll be more sellers that can't sell conventionally. Okay, that's what's going to happen. So on this morning's call, we had with our highest level program, there was like 13 of them on, and 3 or 4 of them said, "Oh my God, it's so much easier than it was even a year ago to talk to sellers and to craft solutions because they're not selling on the open market." Now, I don't know about your market, Dan, but the percentage ranges from like 40 to 80 something percent of the buyer pool can't get a loan today in most markets. In most markets, it's on the higher side of that. So if that's the case, these sellers are having a tough time selling, at least selling for their price. So that buyer pool that's left, let's say it's 20 or 30%, they can actually go get a loan. They're picky. So now the more the market slows down, the less sellers are going to be able to sell conventionally, the more you're going to be a great solution. So I truly, it's going to be fun. Here's the deal. So if I got to make 45 calls right now, if I got to talk to 45 sellers that to get a deal, that'll go down to probably 25. That's a direct metric. In about a year, if things slow back a little bit, or even level a little bit. So I got to talk to less people to get a deal.
It's a good way to look at it. Should people be like hoarding their cash right now, or will you be able to jump into the market in a correction without any cash?
Well, you can jump in by doing our strategies, but does cash always work? Help you sleep better? Help you get better deals? Yes, all of the above, because I've been on the other side of that. So let's say I'm talking to an owner, and for a sandwich lease deal, they'll walk away from 50 or 60 equity if they just had $5,000 to move. This happens. So should you have lines and cash set up? Yeah. That's why I said the buckets earlier. If you do that bucket system that Mike teaches in Profits First, you will have cash set aside if you just follow his system.
Yeah.
I have no tie to Mike. I'm telling you that I'm just putting a plug in for him. I'd love to get him at one of my events someday because I think his stuff is really good.
Yeah. Guys, check out Profit First. It's a really good system, but it does require you to commit to it.
Yeah.
You have to practice it and commit to making those payments in all the different accounts.
Yeah.
So that you can actually report a profit first before you pay out everything else. That's the general.
And you'll be smiling in a year or two from now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Do it.
Curious, what are you working on right now that's new and exciting? Are you doing any more land deals or multifamily or construction projects right now?
Nothing like that outside the box. What we are doing, kind of our mission, Dan, is to get to 1,500 transactions by 2022 with the community, not just our family. It's with them. So what's really cool is we got these guys are really firing on all cylinders, and it's great when you see someone come in and 6 months later they start just boom, 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 one a month. You're talking a nice price tag, as we said earlier. So our mission is just to get more of them on their feet. Really, that's what we're doing.
So I'd like to dig into some more kind of personal questions and sort of start wrapping on a mindset note. First, I'm sure there's a lot of folks who are in partnership with a business partner or potentially with their family. And I know you've grown your business working with your family. Curious what your best piece of advice on partnerships would be based on your experience.
Partnerships, family or not, can be tough. I think what helps us in hindsight, and it didn't, we came together, Dan, kind of organically. It's not like we all planned this thing and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. It kind of came together organically. But in hindsight, I will tell you that we belong to a group of elite entrepreneurs, and they taught us for 2 years now, just aligning everything you do around mission, purpose, and values. So, but it's not me saying, here's what they are. It's the whole team developed the 6 core values. And then why do I say that relative to your question? Because if every decision that comes on board, you're around a room with your team or partner, the decisions are all made around those values. Like you already decided together that those are the best values. So if a decision is made to cancel a speaker, for example, recently, it was made specifically because Zach had a thought after hearing a few things that this speaker didn't align with our values for our community. As much as he would have done well there and they probably would have liked them, long term, he didn't align to the values. So if you're with a partner and everything is with values, there's no argument really ever. There might be some disagreements, but no, we said this is what our values are. So the decision is blank. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
You can't get out of skew there.
Takes a lot of discipline though to stick to your guns and make decisions purely based on value, especially when you can make money by going in the other direction.
Right? Yeah, discipline's an understatement because think about it. Now that you say that, we had to go in the past every quarter someone had to get on a plane, or all of us, and learn this and then make it part of the culture of, weekly and monthly and trimester meetings. It's a lot of work, but it's what's caused us or helped us to scale for sure. And if you're with a partnership, even more reason to do it. You're in our case, this group, you're in a room of people that are either pre 1 million and they're learning, or they're 7 figures going to 8 figures, which is what we're in a room with. And so you're all dealing with the same crapola. So if you have partners, go to these things with them, get in a mastermind or get into a group that knows how to scale and can help you. So you're on the same page. If one of you went, you're going to have challenges.
Yeah. So you not only are actively doing deals, but you're writing books, you're going to events, you're attending these webinars, you're coaching, you're running an info business. How are you able to get all of this stuff done and organized? What's your secret?
I don't sleep. No, I don't kid. Discipline, you said it earlier, is key. And then the right team. And when I say team, outsourcing and in-house, because you can't possibly do it all. But back to that elite group I'm with, they teach that too. How can you scale? And that includes being able to outsource and discipline and get all that stuff done. We outsourced for a while. This was back about a year ago. We were outsourcing as many as 100 hours of tasks that we could not pull in house yet, or there's no way I could have got them done if I worked 24/7. So it's important to get around people that have been through that and learn how and when and with who to outsource or bring in house, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can't pull it all off. The discipline's key. I just give you a basic thing because that was more 10,000 foot view. Mm-hmm. If you look at if you have a to-do list daily, I would tell you to scrap it, like get rid of it. Why? That sounds so contra to everybody else. Make your calendar your to-do list.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to be frustrated as all heck with your to-do list. And every single day, you're going to be rewriting it. In my opinion, that's what I've seen. So, but if it's in your calendar, you only do what's in your calendar. And it's also a reality check. Like, here's what I planned. Did I even get to it? It's a good one.
So true. I completely live on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, then
forget it.
Could be the most important thing ever, but I'm going to forget about it.
Yep.
There's a good quote that I shared with my team the other day that relates to this Peter Drucker quote. It's efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. I think that sums up the whole work smart, not hard.
Sure does.
You should work hard on the right things.
Yep.
How do you kind of bake this into your day to day? How do you know you're working on the right things?
Funny. So this morning I wrote that we have our trimester offsite meeting coming up next Friday. So my brain's going to, okay, the last 4 months, where are we going? What's going to be what we call our big three? And those would be the right things in what you just said. So I wrote down like 5 things that I really, if it boiled down to it, it's all I need to work on for the last 4 months. Now, what about all the other minutia? It either gets pushed to trimester 1 of 2020 or it gets outsourced, and delegated. So that's how I do it. You got to come up with it. And then as a team, back to the partnership thing, as a team, we all share and collaborate on our big three and hold each other accountable on the checkpoints leading up to the end of the trimester. So if someone in the team has done 0 of the big three, it's super obvious. It doesn't happen because we check in every week, but it would be super obvious. And we'd be looking to say, do you need help? Or are you like checking out the program here?
I'm curious how you're splitting up the work with Nick. How do you guys sort of balance that?
It's Nick and Zach. They both have a bunch, and organically we just all fell into our roles. So Nick handles he's a buyer specialist for all our own properties, and helps all the students with their buyers. So that's his role. Zach has moved into coaching with me and buying all our properties. So he does all the contracts, all the appointments. I don't do those anymore. So we just take our roles that we're doing in our own properties, and we work on those same roles as a coaching business. So it's pretty cool because we're always real time with our own deals and theirs. And so we all don't get in each other's way. It's not that we can't do each other's job. We really don't want to. Like, we love what we do, and it's organically grown like that, like I keep saying.
So are you completely removed from the day-to-day of the real estate deal side at this point?
Yeah, I don't go on appointments. I don't meet with the buyers unless they're here and I pop my head in, right? But I don't do that anymore. I love the real estate piece. So I'll go to a property now and then that we have or meet a contract or something like that. I just love real estate. I'll never get away from that. That's why we're always like our fingers on the pulse because we love it so much. But I don't day to day.
Love it. So this is the Real Estate Time Freedom Show. We're really all about creating a business that serves your ideal lifestyle. And I know this is something that you're passionate about as well. What advice do you have for members that are listening that hear something like that? It sounds like a pipe dream. It sounds good, but doesn't seem practical based on how much work that they are personally responsible for, and without seeing any sort of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I get it. It's just that we're talking about it like it's second nature, but you and I both know it's super hard to get to that point. You got to work at it. It's a bit of I love the book Grit. I don't know if you know that one, but it's a bit of grit and it's a bit of grinding it out. But once you get there, that's why it sounds like a pipe dream, because we're fast forwarding going, here we are, but it's going to take some work to get there. And again, that goes back to getting around people that can show you how to do that. I will tell you this, if you're I'll take my niche. If you're in the terms business and you have 3 paydays, think about this. Pick a number, 12 deals, 18 deals, however long it takes you. Then in theory, you have 12 or 18 payday ones that already come in. You have 12 or 18 spreads paying every month, and you have 12 or 18 scheduled closings out in the future. Okay, so go take 3 months off if you want. Literally, just if that income's where you want it to be or higher, go chill out and your brain will get reset. But it's possible when you set the right deals up. It's not possible I used to be a realtor. It's not possible if you're a realtor or a wholesaler doing onesie twosie deals and you don't have a team, because it's you don't have a business. So you got to get to a point where you got to get to a niche and then get to a point in the niche where you can scale and create a lifestyle that fits what you want. And I don't know if that answers your question. Probably was a long answer for a short question.
Yeah. The common denominator in that was team.
Yeah.
Which is also the common denominator problem that all of our clients have, is finding the right people and getting them to stay and letting go.
Yep.
How were you, just based on your experience in 26 years, I don't know if there was a certain moment where you were just finally able to let go and let other people handle it. What could you say to the folks that have trouble doing that? Because this is something.
Okay. Well, I sucked at it and I'm still not great at it, but the aha moment, believe it or not, wasn't until I joined Elite and realized through their self-assessments and through all the stuff they do, man, I did that off. Like I would micromanage the crap out of everything. And that's not a good way to grow. And that's not a good way to empower people. It just doesn't, but that's what I did for years. I didn't know any better. So I'm the first to admit that was a toughie, and I'm still working on it. But yeah, you've got to be able to do that to let people flourish, or you're diminishing them, as the book Multipliers talks about.
What is elite?
Elite entrepreneur is interesting. It's a lot of people know of Infusionsoft. Well, Infusionsoft grew so fast to hundreds of millions, over 100 million now, that about 10 years ago, clients started asking, or whatever year it was, clients started asking, hey, how'd you guys scale? Like, could you teach us that? And it grew to like a seminar. And then Brett Gilliland and Stephanie, who worked there and ran these, just branched off in January of 18. And so they still hold some meetings at Infusionsoft, but they're their own business. They bought it out of Infusionsoft. And it's just helping businesses scale from 7 to 8 figures. That's all they focus on, and they're great at it. And so that's where we go every quarter, with a few of us every quarter going to learn this stuff. And there's different topics. So Elite Entrepreneur, we were there 2 weeks ago. It was all hiring and firing around your vision and your values. And it was also around the book, one full day around the book Multipliers, one full day. And so I
love that book.
You like it?
Yeah.
Well, this guy is certified, Dan Ralphs. He's speaking at our event coming up, and he taught a full intensive day. And Zach and I were laughing because the two of us went to this one, and with some of the things in there, we're like, wow, we screwed that up. Like, they just teach it the eye-opener things about multiplying people versus diminishing them.
Yep.
So that's elite. Short answer.
That book is amazing. I'm going to post a link to that. It's a sobering book.
Very. And being live in a workshop was more than humbling. I'll tell you that. What's interesting, Dan, I read that book before they revised it. I read that book like back in, I think it was like maybe 07, 08, whenever it came out. And I wasn't mentally there. Like I wasn't building a team. Now it's 100% applicable to what I do. So that's just to say, when you're reading, there's all kinds of ways you can pivot. Every 6 months, you'll be in a different spot,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Especially as a team grows, your responsibilities.
Yeah.
There starts to become different layers of hierarchy. Totally. You're only talking to executives and they're talking to people underneath. It's good to figure out your strengths and weaknesses as a leader when you're small, so that you can grow into that.
Yeah. I just chuckle because it's an eye opener.
Yeah, exactly. Which manager, I guess you said you were the micromanager type. Right?
I definitely was. They did diminishing and they did multipliers, and we did workshops and live, and it was actually, geez, I'm doing everything wrong. We both said that, it's just so funny. Yeah,
that's amazing. So one final summation, if I could get from you, for how to be a recession-proof investor. If you could just sum up the tactical aspects of it, and then the mindset of what it takes to really withstand any sort of bumps along the road, it would be great to just hear your message on that.
I'll say a few things. You tell me if I nailed your question. So don't wait till it happens, like I did in 08. So find someone. I don't care if you're running a restaurant or a real estate business or a popcorn stand. Find someone that has had enough bumps that they can help you. And then this is the hard part. Easier said than done. Put the blinders on. Don't look left, right, or backwards for 3 years. Not, I'll try it, I'll dip my toe. 3 years. Do what they say. You'll have a great experience no matter what industry, no matter what niche, if you do that, if you find the right person. More micro, we talked earlier about if you're in real estate, structuring the longest terms you can, do not sign personally, and get your cash in your lines in order, even if it takes you a year. You do all 4 of those plus the mentor thing, and I know you'll have a great experience, no question. But I say it easy, but this is going to take some work and some discipline.
If people want to be mentored by you, how does one get a hold of you?
They can just use your link there. And if there's no contact there, they can find us, just let them know they found it through your show. Just on my site, smartrealestatecoach.com. There's a contact button there. We do a lot of free stuff, free strategy calls. My YouTube page I put a lot of content on that. I'm about getting stuff for free, Dan. That's why I did the book for your listeners, so that people can find out they're not right niche. I'm not sure and I shouldn't have done that. Like, do some due diligence. You'll know. And I'm happy to talk with you.
Guys, if you have any questions, this is the last 20 to 30 seconds that you have to ask Chris questions about your business and how to be more successful, and prepare yourself for a potential correction. You mentioned that it's super easy right now, which for some is a warning flag. It was also very easy in 2007, right before the crash. Just something to be aware of. I don't mean to be a doomsday prepper or anything, but it's just smart to think about how your business could be disrupted by the market. And whether it happens or not, it's good to set up the foundations for your business with that in mind. I think it's smart for any CEO to prepare for worst case scenarios, because that just makes your business more robust. So feel free to ask questions. The book, New Rules of Real Estate Investing, is amazing, and you can get it for free plus shipping. If you go scroll up, the link is newrulesforfree.com, and he will ship that book out to you, right?
Yep.
And then if you want to add that add some more skills to your real estate acquisitions tool belt, it's really important to understand how to buy with terms. If you're just making cash offers, you're leaving so much on the table, and you're not thinking in the medium and long term. Chris has mastered that. And Chris, I thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us on this podcast. And, I'm happy to return the favor. I was on your podcast many months ago, and thanks again for everything you do for the community, and for making this book, and for featuring myself and InvestorFuse in it. I also am super appreciative of that.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome to chat with you as always. I love what you guys do, and I love being on the show. So let's keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day, Nick. Everybody else tuning in, this has been the Real Estate Time Freedom Show. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.